We there. Good evening, good evening. Welcome, beloved, to another episode of Food for Thought with Crown Royal. On a special night, Thursday, sorry about the confusion, but things happen in the world and we got to make adjustments, but I'm here for you. And we are presently 1,378 days inside of captivity by a failed casino owner. 5 days before quote unquote election day. Though election day is going on right now, it's been going on for the last couple of weeks. Over 79 million votes have been cast throughout the country. That's a good thing. Um, for from the top, what I want to say, actually, if you still have your ballot and you were planning to mail it in, we done passed the line of demarcation and at the point of no return. At this point, if you have a absentee or quote unquote mail-in ballot, you need to physically take it to your board of elections or your polling place according to how they want to they do that in your specific state. At this point, 5 days out, there's no guarantee that that mail will actually get that ballot in play by the Tuesday at 8 p.m. Um, I had to deal with the situation myself, being as though my oldest son was out of state for work, so he got a absentee ballot. He ordered it about 3 weeks ago, and it just came, and they didn't send it to their house. They sent it to my house, so I had to actually forward it to him, and he received it yesterday, and he actually express mailed it back. So he actually had to pay the vote this year. But fact of the matter, he got it back, and the board of elections received it today, so his vote is going to count. And those are the type of things we gonna have to go do. Um, or you just gonna have to mask up and man up and go out there on Tuesday. But at this point, you can't trust the mail. For a lot of people, I would say track if you did mail your and you didn't get any notification back. In many states, you can track where your ballot is and if it was accepted. Because in some states, in like Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, and even in Delaware, where I'm at, they don't actually count your ballot. They don't open them and count it until election day. So you have to verify that it got there beforehand, because if it is some type of mess up and they didn't receive it, then you can possibly go. You can go and do a provisional ballot on election day to if it is some type of mess up, and that's important. Um, get a little bit of the business out of the way. Like, share this particular show, um, and actually like and share everything that's on our network, Plug Studios network. It's very interesting. To the very different, diverse type of shows. Um, what I'm going to deal with tonight um, is something that I don't think we really think about too often. That actually wound up hitting us in the face in 2016 about elections, and we're going to discuss the Electoral College. Now, I tend to think of myself as a smart man, and the funny thing is, my sister always said I was the smartest idiot she ever knew, which was like kind of like an oxymoronic. Only because she would say I was an idiot, probably because the way my relationships ended with women. But to be honest, I don't recall learning about the Electoral College in school when I had social studies and government. And if I did learn it, it didn't stick with me. It didn't really hit me until the 2000 Bush v. Gore situation, whereas though Florida was up for grabs and it was deciding on who would win the election, but Vice President Al Gore had won majority of the popular vote. Same way with what happened in 2016 with Hillary Clinton. Clinton wound up having 65 million votes, almost 66 million votes. Donald Trump only had 62 million, almost 63 million votes. Now, you were saying a majority rules. This person got more votes, then they win. That's how we were always brought up, right? No, the system is not made that way. The system was not actually made that way because of one reason. The founding fathers, when they actually made the Constitution and they developed the Electoral College, they did not trust man. They did not trust people. They did not trust you to vote. In a sense, whereas though they never wanted a majority rule to win because they thought it may be somewhere of ballot stuff and or some type of chicanery going on. And they kind of wanted to level the ground to other states, the smaller states or things of that nature with less people so they can have equal say. That's why part of the reason why we have what, two senators in every state, but California has 40 million people. Wyoming has 500,000 people. Why do they have equal representation of senators? 538. That's the number. That's the number of electoral votes. How do we get to the number 538? It's based on the representatives in each state that you have a total throughout the 50 states in the two senators. So you get 435 representatives throughout the 50 states. Then you get 100 senators. That's 535. And then DC has 3 electoral votes, even though they actually don't have any voting representation for a senator or a house representatives. They have delegates, but they can't vote. But that's how we get to 538. So the key number to victory is 270, and you can get that 270 throughout all different paths and ways to get to victory. Now we probably hearing right now during this election that Biden is up 7, 8, 9, maybe 10 points nationally, and I'm here to tell you that means nothing. It don't mean anything because it's basically every election cycle. There's only a general be anywhere between a 7 and 11 states that actually determine who's going to be the next president. In 2016, it was 3 states. What the total 3 states that Donald Trump won that were traditionally Democratic states that Hillary Clinton lost that gave Donald Trump the election. He won. He had wound up getting 306 electoral votes because of Pennsylvania, which is always a key state. Pennsylvania has 20. He won Pennsylvania by 0.08%. He won Wisconsin by 0.07%. And he won Michigan by 0.28%. These 3 states totaled a total of little over 44,000 votes combined. Those 44,000 votes gave you Donald Trump. All those were traditionally Democratic states. All those states had situations where people wind up staying home and not voting, or traditional people that voted for Obama wind up switching their vote and voting for Trump. That's how razor thin the margins was, even though she won the popular vote by over 3 million. In this situation, when it comes to voting, the president, it's all about the electoral college. Now, many people may say, if you got electoral college, then why my vote doesn't count then? Why? I live in Delaware. My vote wouldn't. Well, it's traditionally a blue state. It's already baked in that is a Democratic state. A lot of the states are already baked in. Oklahoma, Arkansas, or Mississippi, Kentucky, they're considered red or Republican states. The presidents always win in those states. New York, California, Oregon, uh, Washington State, all the New Englands. Oh, they always go for a Democrat. That those numbers are baked in. Where the fight comes in, and I'm never going to say anybody's vote is not important, even if you live in a specific what a blue or red state and it's not a purple or battleground state. You still got to look at. You still got to vote for governor. You still got to vote for lieutenant governor. You got to vote your local district. You got to vote for your mayor. And those are things that's going to actually affect you directly. You had to vote for your senator, United States senator. Here in Delaware, we got a United States senator up. Your state, your House of Representative person in your district is up every 2 years. You have to vote for them. So even in a sense, where as though in certain states you may be in a solid block, your vote still counts. So don't stay home because of that. I will always say politics are always local. We need to be looking at our local politicians because that's what affects, your actual day to day. Now, but in states this time, the electorate always moves. Things change. That's why how do you find your representation? How to determine how many representatives you get in the state in the House of Representatives? By the census. The census is done every 10 years and is filled out and is based on the population. And if anybody knows anything about the migration of people over the last 10 years, it has been a great migration. And I am here to actually predict in the next upcoming elections, certain states are going to actually have more representation and actually more electoral votes, especially like when you talk about Texas, um, Texas, Arizona, New Mexico, Georgia. A lot of people move to Georgia. Atlanta is a hotbed. A lot of people still migrate down to Florida. So these electoral numbers that we have right now, they can change because the population is migrating and moving around. Especially you don't with this virus, a lot of people may be leaving a lot of the big cities and moving to smaller towns and to different places in the country. Right now, we focus on it's always Ohio, it's always Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, and Michigan. What's Florida is always in the mix. We always know about Florida. That's what goes back with the whole Bush v. Gore. And right now, it's actually Florida is. I'm looking at my numbers. Florida is a toss-up state. Um, Texas. Wow, they just call Texas as a toss-up state, and that's crazy. But the demographics in America are changing. Texas was won by Trump by over 8 points over Clinton, but it's a toss-up now. Demographics, things are changing. In order for anybody to win, you actually have to have 270 electoral votes. Like I said, there are provisions that are in place, whereas though if you don't reach the 270, and I'm kind of getting deep in the woods, but it is a possibility. It's a small 2% possibility that it could come out to 269 on each side. And this has happened before. But they do have mechanism in place to actually fix this situation. If it is a tie in electoral college, what happens is the vote goes to the House of Representatives, and each they they order a state block, whereas though instead of the representatives itself, they actually vote on the president. The crazy thing is though the vice president is voted on by the Senate because back in the day the president and vice president wasn't actually on the same ticket. They were separate entities. And actually at the beginning of the nation, whoever came in second was automatically the vice president, even if they were from a different party. But as it progressed, they actually had running mates. But it could be a situation where as though the the House votes for one person for president and the Senate picks a person from another party that's running for that's the vice president. And this happened. The only thing that what they did fix in this situation that's kind of because it got screwed. It was used to be where as though the outgoing Congress would do that. Like for instance, like now, say the Senate is majority Republicans, but if the Senate is taken by the Democrats during the election, if they had this vote prior to inauguration and the start of the new Congress, people that were actually voted out of office and out of power will be deciding who will be the next vice president and president. They did change that law. That's why the Congress actually starts now January 1st and the inauguration is January 20th. Before everything started at the same time on March 4th, but they fixed that. So we don't have to worry about that hassle. But what I am going to tell you guys to worry about, and not actually even worry about, is the election's already started. And all the propaganda and things that we hear about what's going on about missing ballots and all these different lawsuits that's going on in the courts about should they count ballots days after election day or only count the ones that are actually there on election day. And certain states have these mechanisms in place so whereas though if they're postmarked, they can still count these ballots up to maybe 3 or 5 or even 7 days, or in California it's 10 days after the election they can still be counting these ballots. And this is normal for these states. Certain states do have better situations, but we got to remember that this is the first time in history of as many people are voting through the mail. Colorado, Texas, Florida, Washington, Oregon, they have mail-in ballots contingencies. They've been doing this for a long time. So a lot of their turnaround and reporting will actually come that night. But if you hear that the votes are being counted in a certain state like Minnesota or New York and California, and it's going for a while, that's normal. It happens all the time. What we have gotten used to in this 24-hour news cycle, in this situation that we are used to with technology and everything, is having a projected winner by the end of the night. And in all actuality, that's exactly what it is, a projection in a lot of the states. And then what they do is they say this is amount of this is the amount of precincts that have been reporting. This is what we have. This is the amount of votes that we have left not to count. So it's a certain lead by a certain person or certain candidate. So no, what we got counted and what we got left is no way they can overcome this. So now we can project them to be the winner. But that will not happen in a close election in certain states. And we're going to have to wait. So I'm just telling you what I plan on doing. I plan on getting my wine and my snacks and wait for the returns. And and look for some key factors that may possibly tell me that somebody is going to win or not. Now, I'm going to tell you this much. Florida's pretty good about getting back their vote by the end of the night. If Florida goes for Joe Biden, you can pretty much say Joe Biden has won the election because it's not too many paths for Donald Trump to win 270 electoral votes without the 29 votes from Florida. Hell, he had to do an inside straight to get that 306 last time. He wound up winning every battleground state out there. He won Florida. He won North Carolina. He won Pennsylvania. He won Michigan. He won Wisconsin. He won uh, Ohio. He won Arizona. Clinton didn't win any of them, and several of them was flipped. Four of them was flipped from Obama, from the Democrats. So if Biden holds on to every state that Clinton won and wins Florida, that's going to lead right into 261 electoral votes, and he would have to win all of them, everything. That's why he was actually that's why he was actually campaigning in Nebraska on Saturday to get that one congressional district vote because there's a possibility that it'll end up to be 270, 268, and he was campaigning for that one electoral vote to make it 269. And I know everybody's probably sitting there like, people don't like math and people don't like numbers. And that's basically what I'm discussing. But I just needed to give you the type of overview that this is the stuff that when you're sitting there on Tuesday, and I know a lot of us is, and a lot of us are going to be sitting watching these televisions and listening to the radio and trying to get a concept of what's going on Tuesday, and not actually are veterans or understand the whole situation. I'm just trying to give you some insight on that because 270 is the key. And don't be distraught or upset or think something is going wrong if it's some states out there outstanding still counting, because that's just how the system is and it usually works. Because what a lot of people don't understand is the electoral it's not certified and voted on and sent in until December 4th. These electorates are picked and sent to the Washington to actually cast their votes for their specific state for the person that won their state. We always think we live in a majority rule society, but actually we live. It's all about the plurality of the vote. Now, I have a solution that I think could work, but that would cause candidates to actually have to, do what? They would have to work. They would actually physically have to go to every state. 50, if you switch to just a popular vote, that would mean candidates would actually have to just go to every state and try to win votes everywhere and try to pull a constituents, so whereas though they would actually have to get over 50% of the vote in order to get elected. And they actually do it in certain states. It's called, like, you have a ranking. They have a ranking election system, whereas though when you vote in the ranking system, they have it in New Hampshire. It's a great system. Say it's 4 or 5 people running. You put down the person you like, number one, number two, number three, number four, like that. So what happens is you take all number ones, You take all the number twos, and then the top two candidates now take those numbers and they become less, and that's how you actually get a candidate that win, because now if you pick this person second, they get your vote. You pick because you knock out the bottom three and go down to the last two people. And when you do that, it wouldn't matter if they're Republican or Democrat. It wouldn't be by the party. It would just be by the person that you like to win, and that's policies that you want. But it would be by a majority, because they would ask in order, just like in Mississippi or Georgia, if you don't receive 50%, 50.1% of the vote, it goes off to a runoff election. And that's something that's probably going to happen. And they have two Senate elections going on now, and it's a four-person field, and nobody's over 50%. So it's going to probably be a runoff election in January. The system is just set up screwed up, and our electoral system is screwed up. And I think that's why a lot of people just get melancholy, and especially when you live in a state that may be a solid blue or solid red state, you say, well, my vote don't really count. Doesn't nothing really changes. We need to get out of that lethargic type of thinking, and because I say here in Delaware, Delaware used to be a red state. It used to be a Republican state. It's not anymore. It hasn't for the last 30 years. Things change when you vote. Things change when you actually have policies that you love and you actually are backing. So you can't just get lethargic and just think your vote is not being counted for anything. If it wasn't that important, they wouldn't be trying to stop you from doing it. So, with that said, I'm going to move into another subject about this specific election. And it's near and dear to my heart. I'm doing a little story time. I like telling stories. I come from a kind of big family. And I come from a family majority of women. I have four aunts and two uncles, and I have a mother too, so that's cool. And I always been very respectful of black women, and I always had black women as role models in my life. So when black men come out and say that they support Donald Trump and they're Trump voters, and they say they support him for because he keep it real, he keep it 100, or just plain old, and I'm going to say it now, I'm just plain old nigga shit. I don't use that word lightly. I don't like to use the word. You can ask any one of my sons. We don't use that. We never used that word growing up. I've never used that word as an adult in my household around my children unless I was talking about something ignorant and negative. I hate the word. I hate it. But my opinion is this. For a black man in this climate, and I'm not talking about being a black Republican. You have your right. You believe in small government, you believe in lower taxes, and you conservative and things of that nature. Yeah, Trump is not your normal Republican. He's misogynistic. He hates women. He's disrespectful even more to black women. He has publicly disrespected journalists. Ain't Abby Phillip, Amy Ryan. He even was giving a whole bunch of crap to the last moderator, Kristen Walker. Welker. All black women. He's never been respectful to women as a whole, but he's good to call black women dumb or silly or make fun of them. And you're going to support that? You're going to support that? I understand. A lot of black men are very misogynistic in hip hop and just in their thoughts, especially when it comes to like in some of the religions, or whereas though they believe that they are superior to their woman. Their woman's supposed to be submissive. But on a greater scale, it's supposed to be your job to protect this black woman. But instead of doing that, you are going to run to the side of this racist white man that demeans your sister, your mother, your wife because of a what? A so-called tax break that you don't really get? Because, okay, you might have a small business, but if you got a small business and you don't have more than 50 employees and you not bringing in more than $400,000 in revenue a year, you not qualifying for his tax break as a small business owner. Nigga. Look, you are ignorant to believe that this man is for you and you gonna get better for because of him. And I'm not here, I don't sit here and I ain't beating the drum for no Democrat and I ain't beating no drum for Joe Biden. But I'm gonna tell you like this, I definitely ain't gonna stand with no motherfucker that's gonna sit there and disrespect a black woman on national TV over and over again. That could be my sister. That could be one of my 5 aunties. That could be my mother. That's what we need to think about. Boy, keeping it real, and he real hood, and he say what he want to say, and he say grab him by the pussy. I believe that. The problem with black men that have those mentalities is you want to be so close to the patriarchy because you say, well, the white man is in charge. That's the patriarchy. So if I can rub elbows next to him and get a little piece, now I can have a come up. Even though in some aspects, by doing that, you actually putting down your sisters. Is that a real man? Was that selfish? We ain't gonna have anything ever if we all don't have a come up as a community, as a society. And still, but by following these demagogues because it's cute and it's fun, and he say shit that you say in the, in the barbershop or at the bar or when you hanging out with your fellas, that ain't presidential. That's not respectful. I think some of y'all need to actually have a conversation with y'all mother or with your sister if you think that way and see what they think. I'm never here to tell anybody who to vote for and what and why. I'm just here to give you the information. And I can't respect any black man who's a voter for Donald Trump. I'm sorry. We got too much history involved in what we've been through to actually deal with that situation. I'm about to wrap it up in a minute. Wrap it up in a minute. But before I go, I want everybody, if like again, like I said at the beginning, if you have a mail-in ballot and you planned on mailing it in, it's too late. You need to take it to your board of elections. You need to take it. In certain states, you can take it to your actual polling place, and they'll actually take it. Or you just need to. Many states in the country right now doing early vote. You need to get out there. Or you could be like me and my two sons. We going out November 3rd with our masks and our water, and maybe a couple snacks just in case we gonna be out there for a little bit. And we gonna vote as a family, and it's gonna be one of the proudest. It's gonna be one of the proudest days of my life because it'd be the first election that my sons get to participate, and I'm gonna be there. And I think in a lot of ways, that's that's the way it was supposed to be. That's how it was passed down to us. It's a beautiful thing. I hope I gave you some information. So if you thought about staying home, that you're not going to stay home. That's what I listen. If you can leave, if you want to, if you can leave the top of the ballot blank. I don't ask you to do that, but see who's running for you in your district. See what their policies are. See who's running for your school board. See who's gonna be your state representative. This is your responsibility. They don't want you to know these things. They don't want you to come out. They don't want you to vote. They just want to dictate your life to you without you having any say. We can't live like that anymore. If 2020 has taught us anything, is we need to be more engaged in the big picture. I'm serious. But we are going to be back next Wednesday. We have a special guest. Try to do a wrap up show. If there is a wrap up show, at least maybe we just go over we might be doing the returns. We might actually be while we live tell you who the next president gonna be, because they just might finish counting on that Wednesday night. But it should be exciting. And also, like I said before, be like me. Get your little bottle of wine or your drink of choice, your snacks. Lay on your couch. Watch the returns come in. If it don't turn out your way, just get a heavier squig and hold on to your loved one. Because we might be in for a rough one. I'm not too concerned about November 3rd. I'm concerned between November 4th and January 20th. What's going to go down? But I'm going to keep a positive spin and believe that democracy and people with love in their heart is going to prevail. And we're not going to have to worry about craziness in the streets. I hope and pray not to. But until then, the next time, thank you very much. Good night and class dismissed.